Has it kicked us off?
Hmm?
Has
I have
it
no
kicked
idea. I'm
us
not looking
off?
at my phone. I'm not looking at my phone. I have no idea what's going on.
Well, I'm sorry. Did my microphone cut out again?
Yeah.
God damn it. I was talking to myself, wasn't I?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Should I just start over from the beginning? Should I just start over from the beginning? Okay. Greetings and salivations, a Zoomfoth member born, the abyss that slumbers. You are listening to Eldritch Rants number 50. Never thought it would actually get this far along. When I had that 3-digit number scheme, I thought that was awfully ambitious, but here we are. And we dare to ask the question, what the hell is going on in Hollywood? Our panel of experts is here, including Gwendy, who is one of the few people who actually managed to make themselves in Hollywood a success without going to the casting couch. And I'm Better Than You is, who, of course, is our resident expert on boobies, who we brought in because of everything that's going on in Hollywood. So, any rate, yes, we are so professional here. Thank you for the great stuff. We appreciate that here. We're moving along. All right. Anything we want to bring up right away before we jump into the topics? We're going to start off with Donald Trump and his tax plan. Anything you want to bring up before we get going?
Can I quickly get a joke I've been trying to fucking tell for the last fortnight out, please?
Oh, get it out. We love your jokes.
Alrighty, okay. There's this kid with a speech impediment, right? And his carer sent him to do some shopping one day. And he had to pick up a bun, like a bread roll from a bakery. He had to pick up a bucket from the hardware store and a cocker spaniel from the pet shop. So first off, the kid goes to the bakery to go and buy a bun. And he's walked in, he goes, "Can I have a bum?" And the woman's like, "A what? A bum? What do you want a bum for?" "Oh, a bum. And he points over to the buns and, the bread rolls and goes, "Yeah, one of those." "Oh, a bun. Oh, okay, here you go." Gives him his bun and he goes off. Anyway, so he goes to the hardware store and he sees the attendant and he goes, can I have a fuck it?" And the bloke goes, "Well, a what?" And he goes, "A fuck it. The thing it carries water and stuff." "Oh, a bucket. Yeah, one of those." "All right, mate, here's your bucket." And then the kid gets the bucket and he takes his bun and his bucket off to the pet shop. And he walks into the pet shop and he says, Can I get a cock and spank it?" And the bloke's like, "What?" "Yeah, can I get a cock and spank it?" And he points to one of the dogs and he goes, "Oh, a cocker spaniel. All right, okay, right. Here you go." Pays for it, and he's walking home, and he's standing at a set of lights. This old lady standing next to him, and the cocker spaniel runs away. So this kid turns to this lady and says, "Here, listen, lady, can you hold my bum and fuck it while I grab my cock and spank it?"
Oh, God almighty.
What? You've been trying to tell this joke for like 2 weeks.
Oh, God, that was awful.
Well, we weren't on last week, and I got cut off before I could say it the week before.
Oh, God. Oh, I needed that. It's been one hell of a week.
Oh, God, yeah, it has.
Alrighty. Shall we move on then? Sorry we cut you off last week. All right, moving on. All right, President Trump's tax plan is actually passed through the Senate, which doesn't mean much. It can be mangled beyond repair once it gets to the House, I believe. But, there's a couple of things that he wanted to push through. We're going to go through the general highlights here. Basically, he wanted to increase the minimum amount of earnings where you didn't get taxed. Wanted to lower individual and corporate taxes. Wanted to lower taxes on all brackets and basically reduce it down to 10, 25, and 35. Most itemized deductions get eliminated. Deductions for mortgage interest and charitable contributions will replace the former. Estate taxes and alternative minimum tax will be repealed. And the plan does not include a border adjustment tax. And that's pretty much the highlights here. Now, I believe, Gwendy, you wanted to talk about this a bit. You've looked into a lot, so feel free to talk ahead.
So, okay, I had a whole thing prepared for this, and then I had to go to a 4-year-old's birthday party, so my brain's a little fried. I apologize. But I remember reading that there was a shit ton of pork being rolled into this bill, and I remember being very angry about it. One of the things that I remember being put in there was something about abortion that made me very angry. And then there was what was it called? Like the Johnson Act, something to do with church and state, separation of church and state. Oh, where churches could now put money towards political campaigns without penalty or something like that. That was another thing.
Okay. Anything else?
There was a couple others. I'd have to look up the list again.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Well, one of them that I've looked in.
Those are the main ones.
Well, one of them that I want to look into is the church one. Unfortunately, I agree with you that that shouldn't be happening. But the problem is that we have a Citizens United ruling from the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court basically ruled that money is free speech. So, because corporations can now spend as much money as they want to support whoever they want, that technically makes the rule that churches aren't allowed to preach from the pulpit or spend money on candidates to become a restriction of freedom of speech, which is a violation of the First Amendment. And as such, it needs to go. Now, my problem is with money being speech. Okay, money is not speech. Okay, but that's not how the United States government law views it, as per basically legislating from the bench. So under that context, yeah, churches should be allowed to do it. I mean, if you accept one premise, you have to accept the other. And personally, part of me is going along the lines of, you know what, maybe we do need more churches bitching about things, considering how, certain churches get to say things and other religions don't. So also, one thing that I've been noticing that I want to bring up about the tax plan, this is my main point. I keep getting told by very rich people who run very rich companies that this tax plan will reward rich people, and so it should be stopped. Now, every company I know of is pretty greedy, so I'm wondering why all of these big mainstream medias are telling me that this is bad because it helps rich people and they're rich. I'm thinking, actually, from what I've been hearing, is that what this plan will do is get rid of a lot of the deductions so that there's a lot of companies out there who've been paying no tax because of reams of deductions. But this will make them actually have to pay a minimum amount that no matter what they do, they can't wiggle out of it. So I'm thinking that actually in the end, this is going to screw over more rich people than it's going to help. And that's why there's so many rich people opposing it. But that's my theory. Any comments or questions?
I don't have a big deal with that. That's not necessarily my concern. My concern is the amount of bullshit that's being added into the bill. It has nothing to do with taxes.
Well, here also with that, there's going to be, as I said, there's going to be a lot of changes. Once it hits the House, it's going to get rewritten. And
what makes you think that, though? The House is already being controlled by the fucking Republicans, the same way the Senate is. It's not going to change a whole lot. You know this.
Well, it may. Well, there's the Republicans are not united. I wish they were. They're not. They're not. There's a lot of Republicans behind Trump, but the Trump Republicans are not a majority. So they're getting through the Senate was like pulling teeth to begin with. Like overall, I mean, if they keep that change to the tax bracket, I think it'll be okay. But yeah, they need to keep the pork barreling down to a minimum. So until I see the final product, the final incarnation, I don't know quite what my opinion is, because anything we're talking about now can change. Everything that the religion part might be taken out. It may be in there just to try to convince the Democrats, hey, this is how bad it can get. Why don't you support us if we take that out? I do know that they tend to do that. They tend to put in things that they take out later in order to get their way on something they care about.
But that's stupid.
Oh, yes.
I kind of like the religious part of it, getting them to pay money back. So I used to work for the Salvos years ago, and they made $4 million off the government. Well, sorry, $44 million in a year, and about $4 million of that was off the government in handouts. And they never pay any money back. And the Salvos are renowned for being fucking tight asses. It's always donate to us, donate to us. But if you've got your ass hanging out your trousers, you go up to them for help, they tell you to piss off. So make the cunts pay money. Good.
Oh, I
But
think
it's
in
not
the
making them pay money. That's
Oh.
what it is. What it's saying is that they're allowed to donate to political campaigns if they want to.
oh yes,
Yeah,
You
and
shouldn't
but
be able to do that because there's a thing called separation of church and state. Churches should not be able to influence politics. That's wrong.
yeah, but when they get all these tax breaks and all this kind of stuff, you know, and no money's going back to the government. I know it's like it's a donation to someone in like some personal individual, but that individual could do things to benefit everybody else. And you know, the whole fact that they don't pay, give them an excuse to spend money. If they want shit done, well, then they have to fork out through the nose for it like everyone else.
oh, I'm telling you right now that most churches shouldn't want that to pass through. Even though it sounds like it'll allow them to have more political influence, this is the first step to getting rid of, non-for-profit status for places.
Yeah.
This is the first step to start taxing them. I'm telling you, this is a wedge that is going to be used against them in the long run. If this goes through, you will start to see churches losing their nonprofit status. You will.
Yeah, well, that's
that
the same
I
thing
would
with
be
the
okay with
salvos.
to a point.
Yeah, that's the same thing with the salvos, though. Like, they get all these tax breaks and they get government fundage and all this kind of stuff. And, yeah, they shouldn't really, when they don't do the service they're supposed to be providing.
I'm not understanding. What do you mean by salvos?
The Salvation Army.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, we call them the salvos out here.
Okay.
Yeah. And trust me, they're not as bloody good as you think they are, man. Like,
I know they're no good.
Oh.
I don't support the Salvation Army in any way, shape, or form. I cannot stand them.
In my opinion, a lot of these non-for-profits shouldn't be non-for-profits.
I agree.
There's here in Central New York, there's so many corrupt non-for-profits. It's not funny. And I mean, some are. There's a few good ones, but most aren't. I'm sorry.
I agree, whole fucking heartedly.
Yeah, well, the salvo sacked me because I was busy off being a firefighter.
What?
Yeah, no kidding. We had 3 weeks running on a Sunday night where I was up in Warringah Pittwater. We had all these storms come through, so I was up all Sunday night, Monday morning, you know, clearing storm damage and whatnot. So 3 weeks running, every Monday, I came in with a letter from a captain saying, yep, I was off doing duties that night. And on the 3rd week, they got the shits with it and found an excuse to sack me.
Yay! Yeah, no. We could spend the entire hour talking about stuff for nonprofits. I've got horror stories you wouldn't believe. So, I agree with him 100%. A lot of these places are run like mini fiefdoms, like small little. I don't want to get into it. I'll start ranting way too much. Hey, Ray, anything else on the tax plan?
I remember one other thing. There was a whole chunk in there about the Affordable Care Act being repealed. I think it was like a large chunk of it being repealed, and that was going to leave like 13 million people without health insurance. That pissed me off too. It made me angry.
Yeah, except, well, I mean, my opinion is I hope they repeal the whole damn thing immediately because there's entire regions around here where there is no health care. There's whole counties in Central New York where the only health care they have is Medicaid, Medicare. Because because the insurance companies can't afford to run it. I mean, Obamacare has been bankrupting the health industry in this area. I don't know about the rest of the nation, but I know about here. It's just destroying healthcare companies. So, but what they're actually talking about is repealing the mandate to get insurance, because there's people out there who are going, I am required to get insurance or I have to pay this thousands of dollars in penalties, except the only insurance I can find is about $10,000 a year. And the tax plan is only going to charge me $5,200. You know?
So then why not just pay the $5,200 and shut your fucking pie hole?
Yeah, but you're paying $5,200 for no health insurance.
Oh, that's fair. But then you can go on the fucking marketplace and get cheap-ass insurance.
Not around here.
I mean, if you...
No, you can't. Why? Because all the insurance companies have left. They can't keep them here. The only insurance company that we have, at least in the surrounding counties, is ones that are receiving huge subsidies from New York State. The only reason that, I forget which one it is. Is it United Healthcare? I think that's the one.
But UHC sucks. Ooh. Okay, I used to sell like life and health insurance. Oh my God, no, UHC is awful. No.
I know, but they're the only ones who will work here. They're the only ones who will dare to give insurance in this area. I mean,
Well, here's an idea. Here's an idea. Like, you can get travel insurance. Like, I say, if I went to America, I'd have to get travel insurance for medical
Right.
and whatnot. Like, yeah, being the internet and all this kind of stuff. Well, is there anything Is there anything stopping you from approaching an insurance company in another country and say even just getting travel insurance just for the hell of it?
yes.
They technically wouldn't allow you to do that because you live in this country.
Yes,
So
no, it's actually illegal. It's actually illegal.
Yeah.
Trump was trying to get that repealed, but it got shot down. He was trying to make it like any state could deal insurance to any other state, but last I heard, it got shot down. So, like it was supposed
I can agree with that being a good thing. I could see how that would be helpful because honestly, having the state borders the way that they are with insurance is bullshit. 100% bullshit. But at the same time, I mean,
we need to untie insurance.
13 million people without insurance. Come on.
I don't believe that number. I to be honest, I mean, I don't see that. And just because it's 13 million people without insurance doesn't mean they're not willingly without insurance. There's a lot. What ruins the system is there's a lot of young people who say, I don't need it.
To lose their insurance.
Are you sure about that? Because I've seen a lot of numbers and I've been looking at it and going, what's your sourcing? And looking at it and going, wait a minute, this is awfully shady. Everybody's got their own agenda. I don't think we're going to, but I'll tell you this right now. There are more and more people who don't have any insurance and they're just going out of Medicare, Medicaid. And if the goal was to have a single government run insurance, it's going to do it because no health insurance company will survive in this environment.
In all fairness, the health insurance company gets gouged ever-living piss out of people for literally almost nothing to like show for it, which is bullshit in my opinion.
I'm dealing with the insurance companies right now, so you're preaching to the choir.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I mean, so trust me from my opinion here, and I don't know what the solution is. I don't, but I do know this: the current situation sucks really bad.
Yay! I personally would be all for universal health care.
I'm
all for it.
There's a bunch of Canadians who will disagree with you, along with a bunch of people in England right now.
More Canadians that would agree. England's got their shit fucked up. I will agree that England's shit's fucked up. A lot of the shit with Canada, from what I'm understanding from people from Canada, is bullshit that's being told to us. Like the idea of these long-ass wait times, because that's something that my mom and I were discussing the other day. Because she was saying, like, because I was talking to her about it, she was like, well, they have these long-ass wait times. I'm like, well, it's actually not true. If you have, like, an actual emergency, there's like, no wait time.
You should talk to Chief and how he almost died. You should talk to Chief sometime about how he almost died. He's in Canada. I know and the mumps outbreak, there's so much up there that's being covered up too. Their press will not talk about the problems. I mean, health-wise, that country is not safe to go to.
I have a solution.
What's that?
Is it called genocide?
Well, that's plan B, but see, plan A is fucking Indians from India. Not Indians, not your red Indians, but Indians from India. Well, they work for fuck all, right? They'll work in a bloody quickie mart earning $1.50 an hour, and every second one of these bastards apparently has a fucking doctorate in general medicine. So fucking want to import a shit ton of them bastards and pay them fuck all for being a doctor.
Technically, we're doing that. Technically, we're doing that.
I mean, we have a lot of them here. Like, I know quite a few different Indian doctors from India with doctorates and shit, but the main problem is that a degree in India does not equate to a degree in America.
Yeah, well, in that case, you got all the malpractice. You can get rid of all the fucking, driftwood in your society, and yeah, all the healthy people can excel. Like, bloody, was it survival of the fittest, the way it used to be.
I'm not quite sure what the solution is, but the only thing I know is right now it's not working. It's not working, and I'm dealing with the people who suffer because of it. Okay, this is
I know.
It's bizarre.
I used to do your job too, so I know.
Anyway, let's move on past the tax plan. Something more interesting. ABC News suspends Brian Ross for erroneous Flynn report. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but basically this guy came out with a whole bunch of bullshit, and then they had to retract it. And basically they were saying all but accusing Donald Trump of basically like sucking Putin's cock. I mean, really, it was that.
At least he didn't grab. At least he didn't grab some Sheila on the tit.
Oh yeah. Well, at least he hasn't done that.
Do
No.
what?
Oh,
He
like
didn't
it.
grab some. He
I'll-
didn't grab some Sheila on the tit.
Oh yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. Then we would have to burn him alive.
Okay. Okay. No. So be quiet. The other one needs to repeat the one he said.
Yeah.
Well, at least he didn't grab some Sheila on the tit.
Some Shagler.
Sheila. It's Australian for female. Kind of like,
I know
chick.
that, but it doesn't. I'm sorry. When you say Sheila, I don't hear Sheila, and I don't know what you're saying. Oh, sorry. Okay, so yeah, so he didn't at least go run around grabbing more boobs or whatever the fuck, but.
Yeah, see, this whole thing come out because of that. They managed. There's a reason why everybody who goes up before all these Senate committees just keeps saying, "I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth." Because if you say something and you're wrong, not you're intentionally lying, you're just wrong. They can get you on lying to the FBI, even though they can lie to you. You can't lie to them, and then they can put you up on charges. And, well, there's that guy that they arrested and said, "We've got you on lying to the FBI." And the guy said, "Okay, you got me. I'm pleading guilty to that because I was wrong." And now they're going, "Ooh, the prosecutor managed to turn a witness, and now we're going to finally get evidence against Donald Trump." And this guy, Brian Ross, basically jumped the gun and said, "Yes, and now we have proof that Donald Trump talked to the Russians," except that he talked to the Russians after he was elected. So it's really hard to get the actually we know of that he talked to him as the president-elect. And that, it's kind of hard to arrange for, the Russians to help you win the election after you've already won the election. There's nothing going to ever come of this. It's all just smoke and nonsense. It really is. Even if Donald Trump personally had talked to Putin, it wouldn't matter because talking to a Russian is not illegal. But they're just trying to confuse. The liberals have nothing left. This is all they've got.
Talking to Russia is something we wanted him to fucking do in the first place. What's the big deal?
What's the big deal is that they want him out of office.
What they're talking about.
They want him out of office. They want Trump gone, and they'll try to make everybody hate him over the stupidest stuff. They don't even have a crime.
I hate him.
Well, it's okay to hate the guy, but
Okay.
my issue is how he's treated. I mean, if they were just honest about things and found his legitimate flaws, there's a lot that's bad with Trump. Okay, I really don't like how he's dealing with net neutrality. There's a bunch of stuff to bitch about with him. But you don't make up shit. But that's what this is. This is just bullshit. Like, stop talking about the bullshit and go after the actual problems. Then I'd have some respect for you.
You know what Trump's only crime was? He dared go up against Hillary. No, he dared go and wreck the females that were supposed to be her chance.
Oh, no.
That was his only crime.
Fuck that stupid bitch. No.
Oh no, yeah, everybody is.
No.
Actually, I got a whole theory on this whole thing too, by the way. People have been asking me, why is it that there are so many liberals and progressives and Democrats going down with all these sex scandals, but there's very few Republicans, and the Republicans who are major ones who got hit aren't losing. Like that one guy, I forget what his name is, Kun Ross. I forget what his name is, but there's this Republican senator who about 20 years ago, back when he was a Democrat, did some stuff, which, you know what, I'm thinking maybe he did, but it was 20 years ago. And the guy flat out said, no, that's not the way it happened. That's not what happened. And he just flat out said, and it looks like he's going to win re-election. He's up by 6 points. Donald Trump
Are you talking about the one from Alabama?
Yeah, that's the guy, the Alabama senator. I keep forgetting his name. But then you've got...
He's a judge running for senator is what he is.
Yeah, I thought he already was the senator, and he's a judge, and he's running. I'm confused on the whole thing. But,
well, he can't be both. It doesn't work that way.
But, well, he could be a judge right now and quit, but that's neither here nor there.
Right.
Right now, he's up.
Anyway,
right now, it looks like he's going to win. I think the difference is the Republicans don't apologize. All the liberals say, I'm sorry. Never say you're sorry, because if you say you're sorry, you're saying I'm guilty. You can say I'm sorry and clarify. Doesn't matter. I heard the words I'm sorry, you're a scumbag, because obviously you did something.
But should you not own up to the bullshit?
If you did bullshit, definitely own up. But here's the question. Both Trump and this judge are going, no, that's not right. I didn't do that. Nothing. And by standing their ground, I think that's where they're getting respect, and people aren't having problems with them over this issue. But all these Democrats, they're so like, well, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend anybody. It's been misinterpreted. Everybody knows if you're using weasel words, you're a weasel. You know,
a lot of these people don't understand either is that these are all historical cases. Chances are there are no police reports or evidence to corroborate it, or else it would have been a thing earlier. So with everybody who's going, oh, you know, someone just this guy just, you know, grabbed my bum and said, well, fucking prove it, and let's see if they can or not.
I mean, I'm torn on this though, unfortunately. Part of me really hates all the people. I hate all of them. I hope Hollywood burns to the ground. And then there's a part of me that goes, yes, but everybody deserves to face their accuser, even those scumbags, and they should have their day in court. So
yeah, face your accuser at the time, though. Don't wait fucking 20-something years for some bullshit excuse. Because they had that Mary Steenburgen or whatever the fucking name was on, was it the Logies or the Oscars or some shit? Hey?
Weinstein?
Oh, yeah, Weinstein. He's the big guy.
Yeah, that's the big guy.
No, there's Sheila with this really long bloody face. It looked like that little Sheila from Cheers. She jumps up on stage and says, it's 2017 and it shows that we're not going to put up with you. It's like, well, hang on. From what you cunts have been saying over the last few weeks, yeah, you have been putting up with it. So what the fuck?
Well, why should we put up with it any longer?
Oh, no, I'm with you in that you shouldn't put up with it any longer, but...
Why did you put it up with it at all?
Well, I mean, do you want the answer?
Scared.
You want the answer? The answer is there's a penalty for being too early in telling about it, and there's no penalty for being too late.
That's true, too.
You know, that's the real reason. That's the real reason. Because although there's some people like, look, Joanne O'Lee. What was it, Angela Jolene or whatever her name is? She was with Brad Pitt for a while.
Angelina Jolie?
That's the one. She like blew in Harvey Weinstein. It's like, Angela Jolie, you are so freaking rich and powerful. Why didn't you do this years ago? Those are the people, small little nobodies.
Because when it happened, though, she was a small little nobody.
Yeah, but okay, then how about 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Why now? Now it's because it's finally now everybody's accepting it. That's why.
And wasn't it some like nobody Italian model that fucking started all of this?
I think so.
Yeah. Although I think
who the hell is she? She's got no power yet. She kicked this off, and all these fucking powerful women who have been powerful women for a great deal of time were saying, "Oh, but our hands were tied." Yet this little Italian Sheila has enough fucking balls to do what everybody else couldn't.
I think also part of it is the Clintons have fallen out of power, and Hillary Clinton has been working very hard to protect anybody who was in her party. And so since they've fallen out of power, that whole umbrella, the Clinton Foundation will funnel money towards you to defend you, doesn't exist anymore. So I think that might be part of it too. Without all that Clinton money, the dam may finally break. And I have another theory too. I also am wondering if Harvey Weinstein has decided, you know what? You guys all tossed me under the bus. I know where all the bodies are buried. I'm going to trickle this out. I'm going to call up some people, and I'm just going to drop a name here or there over and over and over for like months just to teach the rest of you a lesson. Have you forgotten who I am yet? Have you forgotten who Harvey Weinstein is yet? No? Okay, well, here's another guy. And he's just going to... I think that's actually why this is trickling along, is because every day he just drops another name somewhere.
But see, when you think about it that way, that's a perfectly good reason for people not to want to come out, because they're scared.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, it needs to happen. It needs to happen.
Right, no, I agree.
Yeah, but if you put a statute of limitations on something and get someone to, you know, fucking get their ass into gear earlier. And it does seem to me more that shit, I've been disconnected.
No, you're still there.
You're fine. Oh, we hear you.
Oh, good. It says I'm disconnected. Oh, well, either way, bloody yeah. Well, I'm sure this is just a fucking bandwagon now that everyone's jumping on, because just to keep up with the bloody Americans and the Kardashians and shit, we've now gone and accused a fellow who's a TV presenter in Australia, a guy called Don Burke. Now, he's been in an Australian institution for decades, right? And, like, all he does is gardening. And the last thing you'd ever think of him doing is being a fucking sleaze. But apparently he is. And the biggest information, or the biggest evidence they got for that, is some little thing that he did a few years ago where he had this supermodel with giant fucking tits. And he made a remark about her having... Yeah, he made a remark about her having big boobs. And that was it. Like... And it wasn't even, like, disparaging either. It wasn't like he's, you know, put two hands out and went, honk, honk, or some fucking crap like that. And she fucking laughed about it, but apparently that's the evidence. He's a creepy cunt and we've got to ostracize him now. No, get fucked. Piss off.
Well, here's the...
That's a different story.
Well, I'm going to give you two examples where we have the extremes of this. Who's that guy from the Today Show? I forget what his name was.
Matt Lauer.
That's the guy. He's one end of this extreme. The guy had a button under his desk that could lock the door. So he would lure women into his office and then lock the door to trap them in.
That's creepy.
Okay, that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum, you know the guy from Prairie Home Companion? You know, where the Lake Wobegon, he got fired from his job working at a radio station because a couple of years ago he touched a woman on the back as she was crying.
See, and that was bogus.
Yeah, see, this is what we're dealing with right now. This is called a moral panic. There are a few cases where legitimately, Matt Lauer, that guy is a bona fide creepazoid and probably shouldn't be allowed near children, women, or anything with a pulse. On the other hand, because of him, everything is now up for grabs, and like probably the nicest guy on the planet that anybody ever talked to pats somebody on the back while they're crying, and now he gets fired. Now, of course, he's still a millionaire. Don't worry about him too much. He'll be okay, but this is insane. So
yeah, that's the point I'm getting at, though. Yeah, like, you know, there are your bona fide cases, but fucking going on this friggin' witch hunt's just stupid.
So I come back to, I really wish we had our days in court and we could prove things in a court of law. On the other hand, I hate Hollywood. I hate all of them. You have testimony and you give it up. In a civil court, where there's a lawsuit, you only need 51% of the convince the theory that we're 51% towards true. Criminal court, 95%, but in civil, it's 51.
Right.
So make a civil case about it.
The argument for that, though, is even if you were to do so, you're coming to a he said, she said standpoint, and it doesn't matter who's right. It matters who can convince who is right.
Yeah, but then you bring in the next witness and the next witness and the next witness. If you've got 16 women, you know, there. And of course, actually, that brings us into the next topic that we wanted to bring up. Accusers face risks of breaking non-disclosure agreements. A lot of people accept huge amounts of money in order to be silent. Okay, and in the process, now these people are finally going, you know what? I took the money, I shut my mouth, and it's been eating at me for years. And they want to come out and talk about it.
But they signed a non-disclosure agreement. They can't.
Well, no, actually they can. That's just the penalty.
Right.
And well, coming from a classification background myself, I've done basically the non-disclosure thingy for the Australian government and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of shit I can't tell you about, and fucking there are very, very good reasons for it. And even some of them are really shitty. There are some things that the government's fucking actually to blame for, and like, you know, these are some pretty horrific fucking instances. But for the interest in the greater good, I've got to shut my fucking mouth because it's not about me.
Well, right now, as we know, these exist. There's a lot out there, but actually it's been proving time and time again very difficult to actually get the money back from the person who takes the non-disclosure agreement. Like there've been increasingly it is difficult. So it's pretty much coming to the point where it may be just a piece of paper.
Fuck.
You okay? Did you hurt yourself?
Oh no, may or may not be trying to take my medicine and dropped my implement of said medicine because
Gotcha.
I'm smart. Yo, you're good.
I agree with the concept of non-disclosure agreements, but I think it's been abused. I really do. I think there needs to I think non-disclosure agreements that cover up crimes should not be allowed.
Yeah. Surely you guys have got something over there like the whistle, with like the Whistleblowers Act or something.
You little shit.
That doesn't sound like you're taking medicine.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like you're taking medicine at all.
Okay, so fuck you all. I lost my money. Suck my dick. Okay. Oh, where'd it go?
All right, not a problem.
It's medicine. I qualify for medical, so you can all just suck it. I just can't find my fucking thing.
Not a problem.
Shit. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm sucking.
Yeah, surely you guys have got something similar to the Whistleblowers Act or something over there.
I'm dropping things in my car. Yes.
Well. Any rate, but my point of the whole thing is I think there needs to be a revamping of the non-disclosure agreement. Like, if it's covering up a crime, it shouldn't be valid. The problem is how do you know if it is or isn't? But yeah, I'm not entirely sure how the law is. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like, surely you guys have got something similar to the Whistleblowers Act, because we've got one like that out here. That even if you have signed a non-disclosure statement and something is actually illegal, like I did the same thing to First Fleet. I went and informed one of their customers that First Fleet was ripping them off. And First Fleet tried to come back to me and say, yeah, well, that's a non-disclosure agreement, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Well, I just happened to be living with a solicitor at the time, and I said, well, what do you reckon about this? And he goes, under the Whistleblowers Act, they can't do shit to you. Because it's the truth.
Might be the case, but I do know personally from that Whistleblowers Act, it does not protect you much. I'm not going to get into my personal experience, but trust me, I believed in it. I believe that if you should go and you see something wrong, go and tell everybody, and I still got fired. So take it with a grain of. I can see why some people don't trust it. I can, at least in America.
Yeah, it doesn't stop you from getting fired, but it does stop you from the repercussions of the document you signed.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it won't stop. It will protect me from getting sued. I could see that. You can't stop my boss from finding an excuse to get rid of me, though. Anyway, but I'm hoping that it gets defined more clearly. But I think at this point, that probably a non-disclosure agreement is for any of these crimes, if they are crimes. I'm not saying they are or aren't because I don't know every specific situation. But that said, I have a feeling these non-disclosure agreements are going to get tossed out of court. You know, I don't think because we've already got the Marion Brown on the Michigan Democrat went on the Today Show. I doubt they're going to sue her because trust me, if you want to look guilty, sue the person who's accusing you. Anyway, moving on. Unless you wanted to talk about this a bit more.
I'm good.
I think we've done this one to death.
I don't think I talked about this one before, but Trump briefly was going to allow elephant trophy imports into America. And the next day, the very next day he said, whoops, no, I'm not. We're going to investigate this, which is another way of saying I'm going to kick this down the road a pretty long time. I believe that what actually happened is this was part of his whole I'm undoing Obama's executive orders. And this one was one that he undid. But in the process of undoing it, he allowed elephant trophies, like their tusks, to be imported into America again. And they blew up on Ellen and all sorts of places. And immediately the very next day, Trump went, whoa, wait a minute. Okay. You know what? Maybe we need to research this. So I appreciate him doing that, but, maybe he needs to read his documents a little bit more before he starts saying, yeah, it's okay to, kill elephants and bring their tusks into America. Like I said, there are things to bitch about the man. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
So that would require the dingaling to read.
Yeah, I think he depends. Oh, go ahead.
I did recall hearing something a little bit about this, and it's one of those misnomer things. Oh, look what Trump did because Obama said something. Actually, if you went and looked at what Obama did, it was actually a little bit more detrimental because what he was doing was just banning the import of the ivory. He said nothing about you being able to go over to Africa and shoot these bastards, which, in a lot of African countries, they don't have the poaching laws like in some places. So The argument for it is that these villages in Africa, they'll have their own little group of elephants or tigers or whatever, and they'll breed them specifically for the purposes of very, very rich people coming over to shoot them. Now, what Obama's thing he didn't do was protect the animals from being shot, which is what we should be doing as an international community with counter poaching work. Another thing that I've touched on over the years. But anyway, what they were going to do after they've seen what, when Trump repealed this, and they go, oh, fucking, hang on, now there's no protections whatsoever. And he's like, yeah, that's why we've got to investigate it, because what we were doing before wasn't stopping the animals from getting killed in the first place. They were being killed, and the ivory was being thrown away. It defeats the purpose of shooting the animal in the first place. So what they're looking at doing there is they're going to try and see if, and this is going to be the hard part there too, because they've got to go and dictate to an African country what their laws and all this kind of stuff is. So he's going to try and work it like that. So they're preventing the Americans from going and shooting these things in the first place, as well as importing the ivory.
I can kind of see that to some degree. I've heard some of the arguments. To be honest, I'm not too familiar with it, so I don't want to take a position. But I've also heard the case of, if we allowed them to breed for hunting purposes, it would actually save the race or something like that, the species.
Yeah, but... and it kind of does, and it has a follow-on effect too, because you kill a 40-ton elephant, there's 40 tons of meat that village can eat over the next few months. And it's not like they're shooting an elephant a week either. They're shooting one every couple of months.
I understand the concept. To be honest, I can't take a position one way or another. But part of me is going along the lines of, if you want to change the laws and you want to make an update and you want to save the elephants, great. I'm with that. But just starting off with banning, find a replacement first. Don't just turn everything off. So, like she said, I think this along the lines of him just going, okay, this whole section here, we're just going to drop it. I was like, like I said, he has a planning. He's great on camera. He's great in negotiations, but he's not a detail guy, unfortunately.
But he knows where the wind blows, though, but in which way to face.
That's true. Anyway, let's get on to some silly stuff here. Minnesota St. Paul.
Hey.
Apparently, you were sped off after hitting a parked car in Minnesota suburb more than 30 years ago. Anonymously sent $1,000 to local police and asked them to pass it on to the car's owner.
What? Wait, what? Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Because I'm like halfway buried in a car. Repeat that.
Okay. A person who apparently sped off after hitting a parked car in Minnesota more than 30 years ago anonymously sent $1,000 to a local police station this month and asked them to pass it on to the car's owner.
Oh, I heard about that. Vaguely. That's hilarious. That's like the epitome of Minnesota nice. That's cute.
I mean, 30 years, but wow. Like you remembered their... Like, the thing is, though, do you know what which car it was? I mean, it's kind of hard to turn it in,
Well,
there's no notice whether... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm wondering if it's like they were just going through shit in their attic or something like that, and they found a piece of paper with this dude's rego number, and I was like, hang on, what was this from? Oh, fuck, that was that accident I had. Oh, shit, better go do something about that. Completely forgot.
That's funnier than fuck, though. That sounds like something that would happen only in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's a nice thing, too. I just thought I'd bring it up. It stood out as something odd to me.
Thank you. That made me happy. It was something from my home state.
Moving on. I love this one. BuzzFeed is cutting jobs and restructuring its business team. They've laid off 100 employees. Yay.
Do they all have penises?
Probably. It doesn't say, but I'm assuming they only fired the white guys because, Although this was reported by Steve Perlberg, whoever that is. So.
Okay.
But
what about the ones that identify as attack helicopters?
Oh, those aren't allowed. Those aren't allowed. No. Because that's just part of the white supremacy, I believe. Attack helicopters.
Yes,
all the attack helicopters are you can't have that.
But yeah, nothing but Pepe's.
But basically, I don't know if you remember, but BuzzFeed was the one who actually broke the story on Donald Trump supposedly peeing on beds in Russia.
Yeah,
When it was
I heard
complete
about
bullshit.
that.
It was completely made
I
up
thought so.
fabrication. And they're the first ones to report it. And after that, they tanked as far as ad revenue and everything. That was the dumbest thing they ever did. It has cost them around millions and millions of dollars. It is their parent company that's keeping them alive at all. And
What's the parent company anyway?
I think is it actually CNN?
Is
Or,
it
no,
really?
wait. Is it God, it's CNN Digital. So, like, the BuzzFeed is basically CNN's attack dogs. You know, the BS that CNN thinks they can't get away with, they send it over to BuzzFeed and let them do all the really crazy crap.
Kind of wondering if that was a troll, like the whole Trump getting pissed on thing, because there was that other bloody YouTube Sheila about a year before that fucking went missing for a few days, and it was BuzzFeed that was reporting that she'd been kidnapped by ISIS terrorists, and she'd been murdered and found in the back of an industrial estate and all this, and it was absolute total bullshit. And I'm pretty sure like something like 4chan went and trolled BuzzFeed doing that too.
Unfortunately, this isn't a troll because the FBI paid the guy who created it $40,000 to create the document in the first place. And then when they found out it was BS, they retracted the payments they hadn't sent yet. But still, like, this was a troll. This was a con job, but the FBI bought it hook, line, and sinker. So... But I'm just glad that BuzzFeed is finally getting their just desserts. It cannot explode too soon. Okay. Unfortunately, it looks like my prediction that a major news network is going, or at least company is going to file bankruptcy before the end of the year is not true. It's looking pretty bad for a lot of them, but it doesn't look like any of them are quite going under. So my prediction was a bust. Just wanted to mention that. I mean, something might happen in the next couple of weeks, but I doubt it. Might collapse in January, but well.
Well, I kind of noticed since that 36 questions for men video, a lot of those female faces have changed since then.
Oh yeah, they've been hemorrhaging a lot of the. Well, they got. This is gonna sound weird. BuzzFeed got rid of the good-looking women. They got rid of quite a bit of them. It's all part of their feminism because we have to have body positivity. So. Fat is good.
Wait, are you trying to say that fat women can't look good?
No, what I'm saying is that most women who let themselves get fat don't try to look good. Okay?
Yeah, no, fat women can look good. It just usually depends on how many pints it takes.
See, I know a guy who's huge. He's really, really fat, but he dresses very well. He takes a lot of time and effort. He trims his beard. He looks good. He cares about his appearance. But when I run into a feminist who is fat and trying to be body positive, what happens is they just don't care anymore.
Remind me to send you a picture of me then, because I don't think I look that bad. Jeez.
Well, yes. Yeah, do you attempt to make yourself? Do you care what you look like? See, there's a difference. I mean, the phrase "body positive" when it comes, yeah, but when I hear "body positive" for fatness, usually that means is I'm being lazy and I just don't. I just want everybody. I don't care about anybody anymore. I don't care what anybody thinks, which is fine. You can do that. You could say I don't care. Now, look at me. Trust me. If you saw my face, you'd be like, ooh. You could probably use a little.
Not bad looking. I've seen your face.
Gotcha.
Shut up.
But that said, I do make the effort to shower and shave occasionally, as opposed to when I see somebody who's large with dyed hair that looks purple, and I work with this woman. It's amazing how little effort she goes forth into, her appearance. She just doesn't care. So you can be large and beautiful, or you can be large and ugly. It's all about because ugliness is not always about appearance. I've seen some people who are probably saying, man, that's a bad place to be starting from. But they put forth the effort. They put on the good clothes. They stand up straight. That works. I mean, it doesn't take much effort to be respectable.
Okay, I can agree with you on that one. Like for myself, because I know that I'm kind of a larger person, I don't give a flying fuck what other people think of how I look, but I care about how I think about how I look, and that's the difference.
Yes, that is a huge difference right there.
Oh yes.
That's the difference.
Not knowing what you actually really look like and only actually seeing your thumbnail there, Gwen. Like, well, personally, I don't think you look like that much of a bad sort. Like, fucking.
Oh, thank you.
So,
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, it's if you're saying I don't care what other people look like, think about me, that's one thing. But you should care what you look like to you. All right, and they don't. If it's a feminist,
And that's gross.
and you don't care what you look like to yourself, that's where the problem is. It's this whole like I don't know what it is. It's like I'm going to make myself look ugly. That's what I'm trying to say. They start acting a way where I'm going to deliberately make myself look ugly. And I've seen this. It's disturbing. And you want to just go, why are you doing this to yourself intentionally? Okay? But
Yeah.
you can't like I was saying before, you can't help someone who doesn't want help. You know.
That's true.
At any rate, moving on to something really silly here. Cat banned from library develops social media following. Again in Minnesota, a tabby named Max has been playing a game of cat and mouse with some Minnesota college librarians. This feline has been sneaking into the Malacaster College Library in St. Paul when people open the door and has been seen scampering around the bookshelves.
I've heard of this.
So they put up wanted type posters asking patrons, please do not let in the cat. However, because of this, people have been taking pictures of it and putting it on Twitter and Reddit, and apparently the cat is getting its own, and the cat's name is Max, been getting its own like following on the internet. So expect to see the next grumpy cat is going to be named Max, the library cat.
Oh, I love that though. It's such a cute story. See, I love the Minnesota stories. They're always so fun. We need to do more of these. They make me happy.
Well, let's move on to California into, and I'm going to mangle this name. It looks like Placenta, California. Authorities say someone left a hand grenade inside a box of donations that was dropped off by a woman in a Goodwill store in Southern California.
Yeah, I heard about this. Apparently, it was a Vietnam issue type baseball grenade or something like that. I'd love to know what color it was, though.
Yeah, the bomb squad dealt with it. I'm assuming it doesn't quite say it, but I think it actually was a grenade and not like a fake one.
Well, you can have practice grenades, and I actually bought a couple of them when I was in the States last. I just wasn't allowed to bring them back to Australia. But a practice grenade is basically a grenade body with the fuse top that doesn't have a live fuse in it and no explosive in it. And it's just got the weight and the size and the actual physical thing. So you learn to pull the pin and throw the grenade as opposed to pull the pin and then drop the grenade. But they are absolutely realistic. They are a hand grenade with just no explosive in it. All right, and one of those could be.
Thrown them. They're great.
That could be a possibility here. Although my question is why would you donate either to Goodwill?
I donate my clothes to Goodwill when I'm done using them.
I'm just wondering if you're like going, hey, it's the. I mean, I would have said donated grenades to the Salvation Army because being the army, they would need grenades more than Goodwill.
Donate the grenades to me. I want them. Donate the grenades to me. I want them.
You can buy them over the counter in Poland. I love that about Poland.
Yep.
You think that we have loose gun laws here in America? You can go and buy grenades in Poland. Any rate,
it's similar in Serbia apparently. You can buy guns anywhere, but if you're found with them, you're in deep shit.
Actually, I think I'm going to skip this one.
Makes no sense.
I know. I'll tell you some Serbian police jokes too sometime soon.
Oh, would love to hear it. At any rate, I got to move on to something that is the height of insanity. Apparently, Donald Trump was it Elizabeth Warren who claimed to be 132nd Cherokee. She claimed to be using.
Cherokee?
Yeah, it was Cherokee. Oh no, I forget which one, but Native American. She used it to become a professor. Okay, because of the when you're a minority, you get extra points over other people in order to get certain jobs. So Donald Trump called her Pocahontas as a slur, just to say we do have a Native American in Congress. We call her Pocahontas, and he just made it as a joke.
See, that's really not funny, but it's funny.
Well, here's the thing, like, the news media blew up saying it was a racial slur. It was a racial slur. And so my comment is, then there was a movie called Pocahontas from Disney, and shouldn't that be banned now if Pocahontas is a slur?
And the reason why it shouldn't is because it was, so quote unquote, very loosely based on an actual person versus using that person's name to demean or belittle somebody, which that is wrong.
But no, the name Pocahontas is they're saying the name Pocahontas is a racial slur. Period, end of statement. There's no context for racial slurs. It's a racial slur. It's not.
But there is.
I understand.
I can sit here and say and not a black person. And sit here and talk about the movie Pocahontas. We're talking about the movie Pocahontas, which is about an actual person. But calling somebody that to be an asshole is not okay.
But no, he's being an asshole. Let us be clear. He is insulting her. But I don't call it a racial slur. Okay? It's not a racial slur. It's an insult. It's just an insult.
But it's an insult based off the fact that she's claiming she's Native American. That does make it kind of a racial slur.
No, that makes it an insult.
Yes.
That makes it an insult. If I call somebody else a Pocahontas, I may not be insulting them. I may be complimenting them. Okay, I could see because Pocahontas is somebody to be looked up to. Pocahontas, the actual Pocahontas, is pretty kick-ass.
But you know damn good and well that wasn't what he meant.
You know
what he meant by that.
Yeah, but
but that makes it not okay.
No, that makes it an insult. That makes it an insult. But racial slur is something that transcends context.
Why can't he pick a completely different word? Why that one? Why Pocahontas? Why not a different name?
Because it made the news media explode. The point of that wasn't
because of that claim.
The point of that whole
remembers Geronimo.
Yeah, the point of that was to make the media explode so that later on when he did his, I forget what the follow-up tweets that he did later was to get more attention to the second topic. I forget what else it was, but basically he was doing he was messing with the news. He was trolling. That was it.
But that's still not okay.
Well, no. I mean, you could say it's not okay and he shouldn't be trolling. I'm with you that. But if you're calling it racial, then it's racial. It's either a racial slur or it's not. There's no middle of the road here. There's no context. There's no context for nigger.
The idea of making the news go crazy because he knew that would be a thing. So he did intentionally do it using that as a racial slur. That's exactly what he did on purpose to piss off the news media. That's what I'm understanding from what you're saying, and that makes it bad, and that does make it a racial slur.
I can't agree with you on that one. Sorry. I understand your position. We're just gonna have to agree to disagree here. But it was an insult.
I can do that.
I'll give you that. It was very unbecoming of a president. I'll give you that. As an actual racial slur, no. And even calling it a racial slur is bullshit because the reason why I heard about this is I know a guy, I work with a guy who's actually Indian, and he brought this to me, and he was pissed as hell. He says, what the fuck you saying Pocahontas is a racial goddamn slur? And I'm like, what? And he says, oh, I thought you'd be all over this, Bob. And he's like talking to me. And I'm like, and normally we argue a lot of stuff, but he was like, I thought you'd be all over this. And he was furious that they were calling Pocahontas a racial slur. He was ballistic. He's like, okay, God, he hated Warren. He was like, that bitch. Okay, I would call her Pocahontas. Oh. I got different words for her. I'm like, whoa, dude.
It was later discovered that a lot of the shit that she had said, like, they can't corroborate the fact that she has any Native American in her. Supposedly, the only reason that she claims it is because, like, someone in her family had, like, high cheekbones, and I'm like, that's really stupid.
So, but I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I understand it was an insult to her. I would have gone with what somebody else told me later. Pocahontas. As in as in false.
I liked that.
Pocahontas.
Some article came up with that, and I loved that. That was funny. That I could see I could agree with Trump on that if he had said that.
Yes, that would have been much better. Him actually using Pocahontas. I hate to say
clever.
that's an insult to Pocahontas. That is an insult to Pocahontas.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand he was trying to dig her.
You consider years ago, right, when the movie came out, and there was all that thing with Princess Diana and her sleeping with the butler or whatever it was, and there was a joke back then that said, yeah, they were making a movie about Diana and her butler, and they were going to call it Poke Your Highness.
God, where do you get this stuff?
And no cunt said shit about that.
Oh my freaking God! Oh my God, you got. Oh God, that's awful.
I love you. You make me happy.
Oh God, yeah, I love you when you're on the show, man. You have the best. I don't want to use the word best. You have jokes that are truly inspiring.
But you know,
Great.
but
They are great.
no one's. Yeah, but no one said anything about it back then. It's like, yeah, it was like, oh yeah, that was a funny joke. But now you like, it was basically calling Pocahontas a slut.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't think I think that the media is getting far too sensitive and throwing out racial far too much. Okay, yeah, I'm with it that it's very insensitive, but God, I mean, whenever we add something else to the word as racial insult, we weaken racism. Okay, we make it more. Every time you do that, it becomes even more and more people blasé. It shouldn't be tolerated. But when you start saying every word is racist, then people start going, fuck it. Just fuck it. And you know what? If all you're going to do is say I'm evil no matter what I do, then I have nothing to lose by being evil. Traitors have nothing to lose by committing treason. That's a saying my grandfather taught me. I know it's an odd thing to say, but you know, you're talking to a guy who apparently I didn't know at the time was smuggling people out of Poland. So,
I mean,
but
I understand where your grandpa's coming with this statement. I do, but at the same time, should you not strive to be good?
Yeah, no, I understand, but there's a point where you start to realize the system itself is broken and that you should rebel against it. And my problem is I'm for the system. I don't want to rebel against the system. We should fix the system. You don't fix the system by ignoring it, by breaking the rules. You fix the system by following the rules and pointing out how insane the rules are to everybody and say, look, the rules are crazy. Look at this crazy thing I have to do. And that's what I do at my job, because I remember once by the rules there was this one woman who I had to spoon feed like almost half a gallon of fluid every morning, the way that all the doctor's notes were written. And I made up all the fluids, everything, because she was on thicket liquid, so we had to put thicket and all this stuff. There was like half a gallon of fluid that we were supposed to spoon feed her every morning, and then I brought in the nutritionist and say, we have to give her this every morning. We haven't been doing it, but this is what we are required to do. And she looked at it and says, this is by the rules. And she said, okay, we're fixing this. Thank you. People were ignoring the rules and it never got fixed. As soon as I did it and showed everybody how crazy the rules were, we got somewhere. That's how you fix things. You don't fix things by breaking things. You fix things by fixing them. But that's just me. That's my rant. At any rate, I'm getting ranty. Shall we move on?
Yes.
Inmate dies after meth-laden kiss. Girlfriend gets 2 years. Portland, Oregon. An Oregon woman whose inmate boyfriend died from a meth-laden kiss after a prison visit was sentenced to 2 years behind bars on a drug conspiracy charge. They shared a long kiss. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, continue. Okay, no, I wanted to know if you were going to continue because I was really confused on how the hell this happened. So.
The two of them shared a long kiss, and she had kept 7 tiny balloons filled with methane in her mouth and spit it into his. He then swallowed them, intending on getting them later from the toilet. 2 of them ruptured in his stomach a short time later, and he died from having way too much methamphetamine.
Sucked in.
Oh my god, that's crazy. That's awful. That's crazy.
Yeah, so she got he was serving a life sentence for stabbing his mother-in-law to death. So you know, I'm trying to feel bad, but you know, I'm not entirely. However, in regard,
I'm just more amused.
Yeah, I'm more amused. Although I will give you this: 2 years. That sounds about right. I mean, you did get the guy killed by helping him smuggle drugs. So
Zero sympathy. There's one thing I've noticed.
Yep.
I don't know whether it's the same over there, but fucking since my mate's been arrested and I've been visiting him, it's surprising how much intelligence the correction services have. I mean, there's been a few times where they've been sitting waiting to catch people that they know are going to bring in contraband and shit like that, and they know exactly who it is and what car they're driving, and they've got the dogs all standing there in a big group ready to get them. And they still do it. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, no, it's just an eye opener. How many people have been caught since June last year? You know.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. I could probably rant a bit from how things are here in New York State, which unfortunately is probably a lot more corrupt than down there.
Mm.
But anyway,
yeah, you guys got corruption. We've just got incompetence.
Anyway, moving on. We talked about this earlier, bringing it up real briefly. Lawyer Jim Lauer is getting no more money. His contract is not only void, he's not getting his payout.
Who's this bloke?
Matt Lauer, the guy from with the ability to trap women in his office. That guy.
For a second there, I thought. For a second there, I thought you said something about a lawyer. Lauer. Okay.
No, yeah. So I'm glad he's not getting any more money out of him. He's already freaking rich. He doesn't need it. Like, I think he's gonna be just fine. But
initially, I was going to put that down to this is the bandwagon jumping. But when you mentioned that shit about he's got that button, I'm like, yeah, nah, fuck him. He can go fuck off and die.
Yep.
The part that bothers me is part of his statement. It's like, now I feel embarrassed and ashamed, and repairing the damage caused to my reputation is my new full-time job. Go screw yourself. Go screw yourself. Go screw yourself. Go to hell. Disappear. Nobody needs to ever see you again. Go find an ice hut in the middle of Alaska and sit in it. You need to disappear, and nobody should ever see you again.
Here's how you can save your reputation, Matt. Go to the Grand Canyon and practice your fucking swan dive.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
Take a long walk over a short pier.
Yeah. just disappear.
But I think he can swim though, Gwen.
Ooh,
well, that's
good point.
why you give him cement shoes, duh.
Yeah. Put on his head.
Oh, that too.
I mean, this guy is the height of hypocrisy. I mean, he went after Donald Trump. He went after Bully Bush and cost Bully Bush his job over the same thing that he was doing. I heard a supercut of all the people he interviewed where he was basically accusing them of what he's been doing. And I'm just sitting there going, man, this guy's just scum. He's just scum.
That's just like finding out that bloke that used to have that To Catch a Criminal show to find out that he's actually a pedophile himself.
That's funny.
Oh, well. Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Police in Massachusetts have arrested 2 men they say ran a prostitution ring out of an apartment at a senior living facility.
What?
Yeah, apparently 65-year-old Joseph Van Wert and his friend have been held without bail pending a dangerousness hearing scheduled. That actually happened. So this news article is a little old. Basically, he recruited drug addicts from Pittsfield, took photos of them, posted ads on adult websites, and basically pimped them.
Wow.
Wow. Like you're in a senior living facility, and you're like, I need to get some more money. It's kind of expensive here. I know. I'll pimp drug addicts.
Oh my God.
But when you consider the junkies aren't knocking old grannies over for their paycheck, they're actually getting paid doing something legitimate. I don't really have much of a problem with that.
And they paid in drugs. But I want to know is where he got the drugs. What drugs they were. Like, is he like sneaking into the head office and stealing from like...
No. The whitest kids you know have done a song detailing this in great detail. Let's go to the old folks home. We can get fucked up and we all get stoned.
I have never heard that.
I've never heard that either. I know that show. I remember it.
Yeah, it's all about like the main character. He's got to go and visit his bloody grandmother. He's bored off his ass, so he goes to take a piss and then just out of curiosity looks in a friggin' medicine cabinet in the bathroom and finds she's got OxyContin. He's like, "What the fuck?" And then the rest of the song's all talking about like, yeah, this bloke's got glaucoma, so he can basically get heroin, and this guy's got this, so we're like every time we're coming down, we just have his uppers and yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And my mum loves that fucking song too. It's funny.
Oh well, it's probably there's probably quite a bit of truth to that because I know we've got some stuff that are under like triple locks here. There's 3 layers of locks you have to go through to get to the drugs before they can be issued.
I had a patient that was on fucking OxyContin, and she would literally just give me pills and be like, "Here, you can sell these." I'm like, "What? And do what?" I was like, "Why would I sell this?"
Although part of me, I understand they talk about that, but me personally, I'm like, I don't understand OxyContin. It does nothing for me. Nothing.
I mean, it makes my pain go away and I get very loopy, but other than that, I'm not a pill person. I don't like to take pills. I can't swallow pills. I have to chew them and they taste like butt.
I think a lot of these drugs that they say are addictive, it's a lot dependent on the person. Some people are probably just prone to addiction.
True.
It's absolutely your chemical makeup because, like, yeah, I know quite a few people that, like, endone and OxyContin, condone and all that shit, that doesn't work on them. It doesn't work on me either. In fact, like, the last person I dealt with was actually my mum. She broke a leg and her sternum, and they put her on oxys and all that shit, and it turns out that there's the strongest over-the-counter brand sort of Panadol work better than the endone, so...
Oh, yeah, ibuprofen does a lot more for me than some of these painkillers they give me. Anyway.
Yeah, well, ibuprofen's actually better for you because it actually works as an anti-inflammatory, which means it reduces the swelling, which reduces the pressure, which is causing the actual pain in the first place, where instead of just covering it up.
Well, it depends on what's causing that pain, though.
Yeah, there's some stuff. Well,
Well, generally, you really only use ibuprofen for its anti-inflammatory properties.
Right.
It's when it's mixed with codeine and stuff like that. It's when you get things that you can use it for, like headaches and period pain and stuff like that.
222s. I love 222s.
No, I have to get like special shots for my migraines. If I get a bad enough migraine and I go to the hospital, they have to give me a shot in my leg, and it takes like 15 minutes. But then after that 15 minutes, I'm like, that's better.
Sounds like my Sherman syndrome. I got my vertebrae grow jagged on top of each other, and every now and then they'll pop into the wrong groove. And the chiropractor grabs this big sort of Y-shaped knuckle thingy and says, "Lean into this," and they stick their knee into this thing and they run it right up your back, and it just goes instant relief.
Oh, that sounds terrifying.
Oh, but it feels fucking awesome. Oh, it's the best ever.
Scary.
Oh, no, and sometimes it can happen by accident too. I had this physiotherapist that threw me back out at work, and she was manipulating me back, and I said, "Right, well, hang on, do this. Right, okay, right, now you've done that. Right, now put your hands together like you're going to do a heart compression on somebody like with CPR, and then just run your fist down, like the palm of the ball of your hand down my back, like right down my spine." And
I've had that.
She went to go slow, but she slipped, and then she just went straight down my back, and it just went like that. She leapt back, shitting bricks. And I'm like, "Oh God, oh fuck yeah!" And she's like, "Oh God, did that hurt?" I'm like, "Nah, oh that feels so much better." Oh, it sounds immensely fucking painful, but like I said, it's instant relief.
Oh yeah, like a chiropractor adjustment. Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are great.
Well, moving on.
Yes.
This is more of a pet peeve, personal. Not that interesting, but I thought I'd bring it up. Pope defends Myanmar silence, says he spoke truth in private. Basically, he went to Myanmar, and while he was there, he didn't say anything about what was happening to the refugees there. But in private, he said he talked to his hosts. I don't know about you, but this is just one more case of this Pope being kind of wishy-washy. I don't know what it is, but I remember my popes being a lot, like having balls. Like this guy is like a wuss. I don't understand it. Is it just me? Am I the only one? I'm missing this? But he really seems like he's just like his position on a lot of things are like, oh yeah, the church needs to be more progressive. He's like a social justice pope. He really is.
Well, here's a fun fact for you. There is actually a ceremony and a procedure that they do where apparently the next pope that they've actually got to check to see if he's a bloke, they sit him in a chair with no undies on or something like that, and someone's got to look up underneath the chair and see that he's in fact got the twig and berries, and then they say something in Latin that basically translates into yes, he's a man, balls, yes, he has them. So yeah, like.
Oh yeah, I remember. I know what that is. There's that woman.
I'm pretty sure they've actually checked to see if this dude has balls, but whether he's a gutless fuck is a different story.
There's that one woman who managed to con her way into being the Pope.
Yeah, and
that was like 1600s or something.
Yeah, apparently it's a myth, but they're still purporting it as an actual event that actually did happen, and that's the reason why they got that ceremony.
See, well, I know nothing about any of that shit. I am not Catholic. I am Lutheran, so my give a fuck about the Pope is not there.
I personally, I don't give much about him, but I do care about his power. And, you know, I'll say this. Like, the power to influence people. He can make proclamations, and people will listen to what he says. Like, whether you like it or not, he carries... But this guy... Well, it used to be that way. This guy's just weak sauce. Seriously, he is just, I don't know.
Well, my point of view on the popes in general is that nothing says faith more than 3 inches of bulletproof glass.
That is true. That is true. That is true. Anyway, just wanted to bring it up briefly.
No. What? And I've got a pope joke. I've got a pope joke for you.
All right, let's go with the pope joke.
Right, the Pope, he was driving around, like he's been driven around in the Pope Mobile all day, and after his event, he was being chauffeured back to his hotel in one of those U-Butte high-powered Mercedes-Benz with all the armor plate and shit on it. Anyway, he's driving along, and he says to the driver, I've never actually driven before. You think I could have a go? And, well, the driver's sitting there going, well, shit, I'm not going to argue with the Pope. All right, well, here you go. Anyway, so the Pope's driving along in this bloody armoured friggin' supercar. And, of course, he ends up speeding, right? And the police pull him up, and the cop looks in the driver's side window, and he gets back onto his radio, and he goes, shit, I think I need some fucking help out here. And the dispatcher's like, well, what? What's wrong? It's like, I've pulled over someone fucking important. And they're like, why? Who is it? What, is it a king or a queen or a president or what? And he goes, fucked if I know, but the Pope's his fucking chauffeur.
Oh, my friend. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, I gotta remember that one. That's amazing. Oh my god!
I'm gonna cry.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, Jacob has a quote, has an interesting point here, by the way, on the topic. Speaking of church, Sweden's major Christian church has decided to remove all masculine terms for God.
What?
Oh, God.
If you needed any proof that Sweden hadn't been completely overrun by feminist social justice, there you go. That's it right
what?
there. Yeah. There you go. Like Sweden, it's just write the place off. We're going to need to start accepting refugees from Sweden soon. But, you know, native Swedens.
Sounds a little the same thing with Switzerland. There's one of my subscribers, Michael, was telling me all about what's going on over there, and shit doesn't seem to be going very good over there either in Switzerland.
Like
most of Europe's screwed. Most of Europe's screwed. They were talking about a two-state solution in France.
Mm.
What does that mean?
They have so many Muslim immigrants. France was talking about creating a separate state just for Muslims within their own borders. Because they're gutless. Well, because France has allowed themselves to be overrun by immigrants. And they want to prevent a civil war.
Why can't they just let the immigrants act like they're French?
Because they don't want to.
Why?
Screwed if I know.
I'm sorry. I'm one of those people, like, if you have to go to another country for, like, refugee shit and stuff like that, the least you can do is try to blend in and make yourself nondescript.
That's not the case.
Oh, well,
that's not the case.
Not the point. It's not the point either. Like, the Muzzos are going everywhere trying to change everything to friggin' Sharia. They're coming out here saying that we've got to rejig our laws to suit theirs. Well, that's not the point. And it's exactly what you said. You go to somebody else's country, you're a guest in their land. You do what they do. Like when in Rome.
Right.
And
right.
You can't.
See, that's how I view it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm with you. I'm with you, but it doesn't change what's happening.
No, exactly. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's too bad. That's fucked up. Because like, so we have a really big.
My opinion is, you guys got a country. Go back to it. You don't need a country in France. Go back to your country. But you know what? France made their bed. They got to lie in it. No, not all of them. A lot of them are economic immigrants. They said, "Oh wow, I can make more money on welfare in Europe," which is true.
And you see all the blokes that are going over the Mediterranean. There's hardly any females. There's hardly any Sheilas because they the children, because they throw all the kids off overboard, just to get everybody's heartstrings pulled. But they're all males of fighting age, right? And they're fleeing this war. Nah, how's about you pick up a gun and go fucking defend your own home, you useless fuck? Like, fucking, if it's good enough for me to do that, it's good enough for them. Fuck them.
Part of me is along the lines of, if your country's actually at war, I understand, but you know what? We can save 12 refugees in Saudi Arabia for everyone in America. Saudi Arabia has flat out said, if you give us the money, we'll house them. Because we need people. We're a desert. We don't have enough people. We'll take in refugees if somebody pays us.
But why should you have to be paid for that?
Well, because they said they won't take in refugees either other way. And if we care about the refugees and want to save them, well, we can save 12 refugees in Saudi Arabia for everyone that we save in America. So if you want to spend the money,
you have to pay for that. Why?
Well, personally, I wouldn't pay for either. Yeah. But if you're going to do it, why don't you go with the one that is in a country where they speak the language? Well,
if someone's gonna take them off your hands, it's a little unfair to go and expect them to go and foot the bill for it when they're your problem to begin with, and that's what a lot of countries did.
But that's the right thing to do.
No, that's what a lot of countries did to us. You see, India was passing them on through India, and then they were passing them on through Indonesia, and Indonesia was happily passing them on to us because we were the dumb fucks that had taken them in. And we weren't getting any money from anybody off them. And people were, they're now saying, oh, well, if you want us to take your riffraff, you got to pay us for it. Well, okay, they've gone and thrown us all of the riffraff, and we've had to go and fork out of our own system, which is already sort of strained as it is. Now we've got all these people here, and they expect us to foot the fucking bill for it? No. If someone wants to accept them, yeah, okay, fine. There should be some financial thing, but if they don't. I fucking just blown. Never mind. I just fucking had a brain fart.
It's okay.
Lost everything.
It happens.
I'm not understanding because the that's like the right thing to do though. That's the good thing to do is help people.
Well, sort of. See, the problem is here. If it's somebody like, okay, everybody's at war, that I can understand, but we're not. We're also taking refugees from countries that aren't at war, where their country isn't falling apart. And the problem is that who are we bringing in? Well, actually, it starts off usually with their best and brightest. Well, guess what? They need those best and brightest there in their country to save their country. Most of these countries that are falling apart are because we have, in America, for 30 or 40 years, strip mined their best and brightest. We took the best and brightest in their countries, and now we wonder why, people are making such stupid mistakes over there. Well, it's because we left all the stupid people over there.
Yeah, and another thing too is that you notice as well is that a lot of these supposed Syrians are really, really fucking dark. And the last time I checked, bloody Syria was, or you could classify it as almost Anglo-Saxon, right? So there's a lot of these Sudanese-looking buggers that are coming over claiming that they're Syrians.
Syria's not Anglo-Saxon at all, no.
Well, compared to Sudanese, they're basically whiter than Snow White's ass.
Yeah, we already went over this one.
Yeah.
Ah, well, moving on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, let's end on a happy note here. One sec.
Okay.
Alrighty, selfie service. Man cooks Waffle House meal as worker sleeps.
Okay.
West Columbia, South Carolina. When a man found the only worker at an empty South Carolina Waffle House asleep, he took his meal into his own hands. On Facebook, Alex Bowen chronicled with selfies how he made his own double Texas bacon cheese steak melt at the famous Southern 24/7 diner at around 2 a.m. Thursday. I even scraped the grill when I was done, took pictures of the sleeping worker frying bacon and putting the sandwich together, and after good-natured kidding about stealing the sandwich, he even posted a selfie returning to pay for his meal.
I saw something similar like that on Facebook where these two Sheilas, and they're like in their 50s and stuff like that, so you wouldn't expect it, but they're so zonked out on meth that they were actually falling asleep standing up mid-transaction.
Really? That's bizarre.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, they probably should have had two people on duty, in my opinion.
They did. The two of them, they're both standing there right next to each other in mid-transaction, and they just sort of zone out for a bit, and one's even snoring. And then, yeah, the one closest to camera sort of like wakes up after a minute or two and just goes, "Oh, yeah, $1.50, thanks, yeah," and then completes the transaction. Fucking.
Wow. That's a whole nother level. Well. I figure we'd...
Yeah, like I've seen it. I've seen a lot of those videos too, but they're like there's racial connotations with the rest of them. Like, you know, they're, "Oh, he don't that flacker. Oh, someone got to call him an amber lamp." So yeah, the joke's over there is now that you don't have ambulances anymore. You got to call an amber lamp.
Amber lamp. Oh wait, where was that guy? Oh.
Whoa, Black Betty.
Amber lamp. That's the guy. That's the guy. Oh, we lost Gwendy. Oh, well. I wonder if she'll make it back.
Aww.
Oh, well, that about wraps up the topics. I mean, there's other stuff, but, we've been running pretty long here, so I figured this would be a good place to stop.
Yeah, I've got to go grab some smoke soon, too.
But anyway, before we get going, was there anything else you wanted to bring up or talk about? Anything to address? Oh, we forgot about the sub. The sub. You were going to talk about the sub real quick.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's a little involved.
Well, I've got time, but if you want, however long you want to talk about it.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, the plot thickens with this because apparently the ARA SAN-1 had just come out of dry docks after having its batteries replaced. Now, this involved having to actually cut and shunt the whole sub. And they did this with a local firm, not the German company that originally built it. So a lot of people were saying around when it happened that there was something wrong with the batteries and that there would have been there possibly was a leak of some sort. Now, the plot thickens even further when apparently they've come out with they've had satellite communications around the time of the incident with the sub saying that there was actually in fact water leaking into the sub from the snorkel system in through the ventilators, and water always goes to the lowest point, which is where the batteries are. And they did in fact have a smouldering fire. They classed it as a flameless smoke fire in the battery compartment. They'd isolated that battery, and they were using a different circuit because they've got more than one battery set in these things. Now, as they were making this trip, apparently they'd had this short circuit with the battery system. They reckon they could complete the rest of the voyage under the rest of the batteries, and then sometime after that, several hours, there was sonar signatures that have been detected, and they're saying that this is the sonar information from this actual site. And I've listened to another bloke I'm subscribed to, a guy on YouTube called Jive Turkey, and he actually used to run sonar systems on American fast attack subs during the Cold War. And he was having a look at it and like the data, and he was breaking it down and all this kind of stuff. And it's very, very clear that the initial instance was something that was a building problem. So there was noise that was sort of gaining in velocity, and then all of a sudden it come to a complete snap. There's one little tiny black line there that runs above 100 decibels. So it's basically a building noise, and then all of a sudden, which apparently that spike was actually more of an implosion than an explosion. And then about 2 minutes later, there's another transient, which Jive reckons is them doing an emergency blow. And yeah, from all of that information, it's pretty clear that they only lasted a couple of minutes after that. So yeah, they've been dead for over a week.
Ouch, man.
Yeah.
So this is just another advice that you should always bring your vehicle back to the original manufacturer.
Oh yeah, well they don't know whether it's the weld that failed. The reports are now suggesting that they're trying to snorkel under heavy sea state, or sea state 5, which is really, really bad. And like you don't surface a sub in those conditions, and snorkeling is pretty dangerous because of the high water levels. There are valves and flaps and stuff to prevent the water from getting in, but obviously you can't inundate those things. So that's what they reckon's happened. Now where it is, it's on a drop off to the shelf, and that can be anywhere from 70 meters to 3,000 meters.
Wild. Oh, we got a note from Gwendy. Her phone died. So. Ah, well, it was the last topic anyways, if you're listening. So, we were good.
Well, either way, crush depth for one of these things is about 1,500 to 2,000 feet. And 3,000 feet, they've just gone pop.
Wow, so they were over 3,000 feet deep when they went up?
Well, they haven't found the actual wreckage yet. They know whereabouts it is. Just depending on how far it fell. If it's gone all the way to the bottom, yeah, they're gone beyond crush depth.
Ouch.
Ouch. Now, another thing the Argentine Navy is saying, and everyone's going to cotton on to the obvious joke that's going to be made here, is that they've been touting this as being, oh, this is the first naval vessel with a female officer. Yeah, see what happens when you get a female driver, you dopey bastards.
Oh my God!
I had to make that joke. It had to be done.
It had to be done. Anyway, this looks like a good place to wrap up. Any else on the sub that we need to know about?
No, they did.
Alrighty. Well, it's been real and it's been fun. It's been kind of fun. And I'm glad everybody stopped by to talk with us. And I hope everybody out there has a pleasant night. You want to say goodbyes? That works for me.